Hello, Monde Sportif fans. It is me, Harry, and Toby for episode I don't really know, probably 4 of the fantasy
Five.
football transfer update. 5, okay. Toby on the buzzer as always. I feel like you're going to be happier. I'm not completely disappointed, but I have gone down 6 places, maybe even 7. So obviously not good with number memory today. But the numbers are looking good for you. 71.
71. Solid week. Defense performed very well.
Yeah, we talked about it.
Teo Hernandez and Mendes doing well for me. I've had them since, I had Hernandez since the start. Mendes I've had pretty much since the start. Brought Neuer in goal. And Dumfries, who I always like as a solid tournament option. And Musiala captain again. Who did you captain this week?
Musiala. I know you're trying to catch me out there and think that I picked someone rogue, but I picked Musiala. That was not the problem.
What was the problem?
As we were saying, I genuinely think those 3 defenders you mentioned with the differentials, I look at them and I think you got 20 points. If I look at my defense, because it very helpfully does that, my defense got 11 points. So that's a 9-point difference. Admittedly, you had 1 extra defender playing, but still, like those incremental gains, that will be big. Kane up front, he only got a goal in extra time, but still, Ronaldo in extra time was crying his eyes out, the little boy.
Yeah. Oh, good. What a day it was watching Cristiano fail like that. I actually said I thought he'd score this week, and I thought he'd score in the week before. But as you know, there's nothing that makes me happier than poor little Ronaldo in tears on a football pitch. And it was a beautiful sight to behold.
It was a sight to behold. And then Diego Costa. I don't think any of our main rivals had him, but you might correct me on that. But he doesn't get points for penalties because that doesn't count. If he had points for penalties, he'd have been the leading player in the tournament because he was absolute smoke in that area. Talking about smoke, Fabian Ruiz, we both had him. He was a good pick. I think a lot of people did though.
Yeah, you slightly talked me into Fabian Ruiz, but I was eyeing him up anyway. It was on my radar.
It wasn't to be honest, difficult choice. Yeah,
true. It was a bit of a toss up between him and Nico Williams. I think Nico Williams is slightly more expensive. I wanted him as well, and he got 10 points, the same as Ruiz actually. Spain looked like a good ones to have, and then obviously watching that game as well, Lamine Yamal. It's really, the big underperformer so far. Well, one of the big underperformers. There've been many, but Mbappe. What a disappointment. Almost everyone had him in this week, but Mbappe with a broken nose doesn't seem to be quite the same kettle of fish.
Well, the mask obscures his face, and we don't know what player is actually behind the mask.
This is true.
I'm trying to think of a rubbish French player that's up front. Arsenal had loads of rubbish players, but maybe it's Nicholas Bentner.
I know he's not French.
He's Danish, yeah, but he's playing like Nicholas Bentner.
I think you missed an easy one there. Yaya Sanogo is clearly behind the mask.
I haven't had that name in a long time. That's a good shout. So many flops at Arsenal in yesteryear, sadly. Talking about players that have flopped, Memphis Depay. I don't really want to speak on it, but one word: pathetic. And another word for his replacement: conflicted, because it's Cody Gakpo. And Cody Gakpo, I know you put club allegiances to one side, but you don't when it's a rival team. And he just again, it's like he doesn't have a mask on, but he suddenly turns into a baller when he plays for Netherlands. Where's this player for Liverpool? I'm glad we haven't seen it for Liverpool. He's more of a bit part player for them, to be fair, so he hasn't got the same opportunities. But he is different gravy for them. Do you think that's a good call, or do you think too many people have him?
He's a popular call, but he's got like a decent draw next up against Turkey. Looking obviously now we're at the quarterfinal stage. You've got pretty good teams left in, and of course you've got England. I think Gakpo right now, given that he's got Turkey next up, potentially England, probably Switzerland in the semi-final. He's probably a good shout in terms of the matches, as much as I'd like to say no, because I agree with you. He's not a great player for Liverpool. But sometimes you just get that. Sometimes players in international football are a different story.
Yeah, Gakpo is certainly a different story for Netherlands and Liverpool. The other ones I've got are Xavi Simons and Nathan Ake. So going all in on Netherlands. And I've kept Leonhardt in even though he's out of the tournament because I just thought I only really need 4 defenders. Like I know the sub option is good, but realistically, you at this stage, I mean, there's only so many players you can pick, and I just thought, is it really worth? I know the defenders offer more value per point, but they're not likely to get. There's a limit to how many points they're going to get realistically. So I'm just hoping one of those players, Cody Gakpo or Simons, preferably Simons, because Gakpo is always going in, does well. You have a bit of a theory. I mean, by all means, if now you feel it's relevant to share it, bit of a theory in terms of why the big team's been underperforming, because that's partly why it's been a bit of a random one, because the players you'd expect to play well, like Mbappe, like even Ronaldo to a certain extent, and I guess Foden too, a bit more predictable there. They haven't been playing well. Why is that?
Well, I think, yeah, exactly. The 3 teams you mentioned there, Foden from England, Ronaldo from Portugal, Mbappe from France. I think these 3 teams are prime examples of countries that right now they're going on reputation. They're picking players based on what they've done in the past, based on what they've done this season for their clubs, and they haven't found a system that works on an international level. I mean, they've all got through. Obviously, they're all still in the competition, so they're doing something right. But I mean, we can definitely say in terms of England have just been a bore throughout this tournament. They're trying to play Bellingham and Foden when clearly their best position is the same position, or even you could argue with Bellingham, he's been playing the whole season as a false 9. He should actually be in the Kane role, but obviously you're never going to drop Harry Kane. Although you say this, you can say obviously you're never going to drop Foden, obviously you're never going to drop Bellingham, obviously you're never going to drop Kane, but one of them has to go. And right now for me, it has to be Foden, because he's been the worst of the 3 of them throughout this tournament. He's the only one who hasn't been scoring and getting assists. England in past tournaments gone by, Southgate's found a system and he's sacrificed players. In this one, he's feeling the pressure. He's really feeling the pressure from the fans, from the public, that he has to play these players. And to an extent, I think Deschamps feels that for France with Mbappe. Maybe if it was any other player and they'd broken their nose like that, they'd be out of the tournament. He feels the pressure to play Mbappe. It's not working for them, but still he's playing. And, well, even more so than England, Portugal, look at Ronaldo. I mean, I'll go in on him yet again. He's past it. He's finished. He can't even score a penalty, albeit Oblak's a decent goalkeeper. That was an amazing save. Can't even score a penalty. He couldn't score a goal in a group that was even easier than England's. He's done. He's done. He's a player of yesterday. And Portugal have Diogo Jota on the bench, who's a workhorse. He knows where the goal is, and they need to use players like this. And Ronaldo needs to be saying goodbye.
Brilliant. Any closing thoughts, Toby?
Going back to fantasy. Let's just give a shout out, by the way, because Joelinton's Samba Boys at the top of the league. He's having an absolute stormer this tournament. I mean, his scores week by week, 61, 78, 58 and 84 this last week. He captained Cody Gakpo. Always risky as well, captaining a player on the final day. If Gakpo gets injured and goes off, there's no going back. But he got 24 points, star player, of course. And really, his whole team just performed incredibly. Sabitzer, who a lot of people had, was the only player that let him down. So fair play. He's running away with the league at the moment. 281 points. I sit myself in 5th place with 232, but I do very well to catch up with him. I'm praying for some kind of meltdown. I don't know. Famous meltdowns. Any come to mind?
Arsenal every year.
Well, I mean, if we're talking about North London teams and meltdowns, it's certainly not Arsenal that comes to mind.
Yeah, fair Okay. Well, I'm gonna wrap it up there, Toby. Thank you very much for your time, as ever. It was a pleasure. And roll on Swiss. It's a Swiss roll. Roll on the Swiss. Goodbye for now.